And good morning, all. Let's do our quick technical checks. Let's just make sure everything is working as intended. Okay, got that. That's good. Um, didn't quite figure out, but I think I'm in a better place with the OBS settings. We've got 1440p that we're streaming in now instead of the convoluted resolution that it was set for before. It wasn't quite 32 by 9, but it was somewhere close to that. It was like 0.8857. It was really weird, but I think I got that fixed. I like the 1440p resolution. I just want to check here the audio sync. Okay, that all looks fine today. I don't know what was happening yesterday, but the stream seemed out of sync. But I went back and reviewed it. Everything seemed to be good. So the this week has been kind of, it's been rough because of my 4-year-old not sleeping. He did sleep last night, so I got some sleep today, so I should have a lot more energy. But this week's been busy because you've had Star Wars Zero Company came out. I really want to buy that and pick that up. I'm a big fan of XCOM and of course Star Wars. And then yesterday, Aramis and Thorndy's publishing company released the 3 games: The Mining and Dwarfs, Orb Breaker, and Just Keep Fishing. And you know what? Whoops. Sorry, wrong one. I picked those all up, and I want to give those a play. I haven't had a chance yet because I was just exhausted yesterday, but I do want to pick those up and give those a play. Hopefully later this afternoon, after the stream is over. But there are some other streams that are coming on that I want to jump on. So we'll see where I land. And this other one is Project Tomorrow. It's an RTS that another indie dev made all by himself, and it looks beautiful. And I'm looking forward to doing that for a developer feedback video. So I can't wait to try that one either. And then, of course, Twisted Tower came out by Thomas Brush. And I love the demo. So I want to try the full game. I just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. So a lot of fun stuff has come out, and I really want to get around to playing it. I just haven't got there yet. But today, you guys yesterday voted on, what should we do next? And 75% of the people responded, let's build a boss. So today we are going to build the boss. I just want to go over, because I was looking at my plan this morning for this game. Remember, we allocated 100 hours to get the game shipped on Steam. Needless to say, we've already established that's not going to happen. 120 hours, maybe. But 100 hours is not going to be ready in time for that. But I want to go back and look at our milestone 6 and see what do we have to hit to be able to close out this milestone, because we're kind of bleeding down into these fixes, bugs, and balancing, and then doing some of the polish a little bit with our figuring out how we want the activity to show who's the active player and stuff like that. But I want to go back and just take a look here at what we need to add in that we already have planned for milestone 6, so we know what we have to do. We have to build a way to disarm the traps. Should be pretty straightforward. Just have to actually build the button. It's just a matter of, I want to do it, and I also kind of want to do it so that the rogue has a better chance to disarm it. So I'm just trying to think of the mechanics of how we want to do it. Excuse me. In the D&D adventure board game where this is highly based off, you just roll a d20. A 10 or higher, you disarm the trap. 1 through 9, you trigger the trap and you suffer the damage. I don't know with the dice system that we have in this game, where you have a 50% chance. In D&D, it's 55% chance to disarm. But this one's only 50 if you use the swords on a single die. So maybe it'll be like, you know, a normal character gets 1 die and a rogue gets 2 die or something like that to try to disarm it. And then if they hit a sword success, it gets disarmed. So I think I might do something like that. I'm just kind of still building the mechanic in my head, and it could be something like, they get thieves tools or something like that also might give other characters a chance to disarm a trap, something along those lines. But I'm still trying to sort that through in my head to figure out, exactly where I want to go with that. Determine what happens when all players die versus some characters. This was like, when a character goes down in the dungeon, do we give the party a chance to heal them or pick them back up? As a player, I like the ability to be able to heal my characters. The idea for the game, again, comes from the old Cannon Fodder series, and it's basically someone dies, they just get replaced by the next mook. And so I'm kind of, right now, that's how the game is built. When the character dies, they're gone. Everything they had, it's all wiped out. They're just gone. And I kind of like that. And no one so far from the playtest has given feedback on this, but at the same time, our playtest hasn't been that hard because our orcs are all 1 hit point. And so no one's really had the challenge. So I think once we add the boss in and we tweak our orcs a little bit to be a little bit tougher. I mean, they do roll a little bit harder, but they still don't have a whole lot of hit points. So we need to bump up the level 2 orcs. And then we're going to need to make sure that our boss is formidable in some way. And there's a poll wherever the chat is in relation to the stream. There's a poll right now to say, hey, what should we do for the boss? How should we make them different than the standard orc that just fights, shoots arrows, swings a sword? So raw damage output. He's just more dice. He really hurts. This is how the gargoyle basically functions in Hero Quest, and that's like the biggest bad guy. And he's in the very first quest. If you play the default American version, they just call it the gauntlet, where you have to fight everything that's in the box. And that gargoyle hits hard the very first time you play. I don't know of anybody that successfully completed that first adventure the first time they played. Almost everybody gets wiped. The other options are, we have the buff system, so they could debuff the party. So if they get there, you can say like, there's a foul stench or something like that, and that causes everybody to lose an attack die or something like that. He could also buff up any of the other orcs around him, give them extra, like a pack tactics type thing or something like that, an extra attack die. Or we could do something with controlling the battlefield. And my initial idea was he could throw out traps, because we have a trap spawner. He could just throw out a trap and spawn a trap. And then so the melee characters trying to get in to fight him are now stepping on traps, or maybe he resets a trap if there's one already there or something like that. I don't know. There could be other ideas too. If you have other ideas, please, shoot them into the comments in different ways. The boss character that we're going to use right now, I want to get this guy in here, but this is going to require a lot more work because this is let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. This is a cave troll, so he's going to take up multiple squares. And right now, the way that the system works is we're tracking everything by a single square. So if I want to make him bigger, I need to allocate more squares. So he needs to be able to navigate the board, saying I need 3 squares wide or 2 squares wide. I haven't dropped this in. I think he's a 3x3 is how big this cave troll would be. So I would need a way to have him be able to navigate the board and not get stuck on walls or walk through walls and stuff like that. Make his area attackable in all the squares. So it's going to require a little bit more system change to get that working. I do want to get there, and I've been playing with it on my other install, trying to figure out the actual mechanics of how to do that. And I think the idea I've kind of settled on, but I haven't quite got there yet, is everything's going to be tracked by the top left square. And then it's going to say how big is it. So it's going to be like 2 squares or 3 squares, but I'm going to keep everything a square. So every character is going to be a 1x1, 2x2, or a 3x3 square. So then we can just keep track of things easier. And if we do other tile based stuff like outdoors, there'll be less corridors. It'll be a lot more wide open. So bigger creatures like a 3x3, whether it's a dragon or a troll or whatever like that, can more easily live out there and move through the battlefield. But the one I think we're going to use for the boss character today is I think I'm going to use the Pale Champion. So this is, I think he's a little bit taller than a regular orc. I'll have to put him on the game board to see exactly how tall he is. But this is kind of like it's like the Kratos version of an orc, but he's had his hand replaced with a blade. And I'm not 100% certain, exactly how I want to do this, because I'm thinking maybe he does like attack 2 or 3 squares that are right in front of him or something like that. I don't know exactly how I want to do that, but my initial idea was keep it simple, make him have more attack dice so that he does more damage, and stuff like that. When he's just sitting here and he's got his arm blade waiting to attack. That was my initial idea, is just to give him more attack dice. But it also kind of gives us a little bit boring of a boss. But at the same time, defeating him, we should give rewards. And so we need to add in a reward system with our bosses too. The escalation mechanic, this did come up in the playtest feedback, and I'm thinking a couple different ways of how to implement things like this. So right now, we kind of talked about before, the Dungeon and Dragons game has the encounters where if you don't explore, you have to draw a card. There are some tiles that are danger tiles, and those cause you to draw a card. That could be things like spawn a monster on the nearest monster spawner, or all the traps reset. Random things like that. You get attacked from the darkness. There could be a bunch of different things like that. I think that's going to require a lot more work. So I think it's going to be a little bit out of scope. We can do things real easy, like resetting the traps, because we already built with that in mind. So I'll have to think about how we want to do this. But the other thing that I've added to this since the last time we looked at this was a progression style. And when I started thinking about the saving load mechanic of how we're going to do this, my idea is, this is dungeon fodder, so we're talking about killing the players and just replacing them with a general, just the next red shirt, the next mook, whatever you want to call it. And so I was trying to think, right now we have our monster spawners built so that when you go into the dungeon, it's based on the party's item level, what level monsters spawn. That gives us like a fair, balanced dungeon. So you don't really run the risk, except for maybe occasionally some really poor die rolls, of having your party wiped out or defeated. So it's kind of hard to have a sense of danger with that. So I was trying to think of different ways to do it. My mind always comes back to what's it called? Minecraft Dungeons. So where you can select the level, and then it has like a sliding scale of, how difficult do you want it? And this is the item levels that will drop from things based on how difficult you do that. That requires a lot more thing. It's also going to require a lot more design, because we don't just want to have the same dungeon and go, here, click these, and we get the same dungeon. It's just maybe a slightly different monster set. But I was kind of thinking and going through this, and that was just a selectable threat level type idea, but also maybe I like board games and like push your luck mechanics. So when you get to the stairs, the exit stairs, and right now they go down, but we have it programmed so they go back to town. But if we give the player an option of, do you retreat to town, or do you descend further and you can get more gold, face tougher enemies? So you have that risk. Do you want to keep pushing your luck with your current hit points and your current whatever you have equipped? Keep pushing your luck down further. The downside to that was when you finally either wipe or get back to town, retreat back to town, you would have to go through level 1, level 2, level 3. If you're at item level 3, you have to slog through those dungeons. So my idea was, if you ever get to the stairs and then like push down to level 2, is in town just before you have the inter dungeon, we have a drop down, and it will show you whichever is the furthest level down you've unlocked, so then you can just jump right to that level. So that's the idea I had. And then you can, if people want to grind out level 1, they can do that. If they want to, jump right to level 2 for a challenge, level 3, whatever. And then each level we could have, the monster spawner set base what level of the dungeon it is. The other idea is we could also make it so it's weighted encounters. So then when you come in, the monster spawner has, like, if you're item level 1, 85% chance it's going to pull a monster from the tier 1 pool. But there's a 15% chance it'll pull it from tier 2. So then it keeps scaling with the players. We don't have to build multiple levels, but it'll keep scaling with the players. And every now and then, kind of think like Diablo, where they had the what were they called? The elite enemies, and then every now and then it would pull something that was harder. I don't want to build like an elite system that's going to be way beyond the scope of this game, but just that idea of, maybe there's a chance we pull from one of the higher level things. We pull from a higher level tier. So those are the three ideas I had about the progression style. I think I'm kind of going to do like, I feel like I'm leaning more towards this, the push your luck style / selectable level, because then you can choose to keep pushing on, or and then we can scale, each level. We can even make it infinite scaler if need be, where it just, when it spawns the enemies, we can add hit points based on the level. It's some algorithmic scale or something like that. If you wanted to make it so they keep going. Problem with all this again comes back to, this is all based on loot level progression. So we need a lot more loot. So we have to build more loot. But it was just some ideas I'm going through with this. And the other idea with the boss that I have today is we have it set up so in the dungeon tile stack, after between 8 and 12, we have a random number. We draw the exit tile. My idea with the boss is between 8 and 12, instead of drawing the exit tile, we draw the boss tile. And then once the boss tile's been drawn, then we have a chance within like the next 4 to draw the exit tile. So then you have to, or maybe once the boss is defeated. So we can't draw the exit tile until after the boss has been defeated or something like that. The other idea was too, is to remove the entrance stairs. So once you're in, you have to keep going until you find the exit. I don't know. This is one of those weird things where it's like, I never thought of being making games and people talking about how they discover what the game is as they're working on it. I always thought, I was like, no, I have a clear vision. Obviously, when I started digging into a real project, I don't. I'm trying to understand, what my original vision was and what we're actually making are very, very different things. So that's just something that we have to think about. And the last thing, I didn't highlight it here, but I definitely should highlight this. Home. Whoops. Don't want to do that. It's not subscript. Blue. Here we go. It's the save and load system. And what I want to do is I'm going to use what I call it the XCOM style, where I like the idea, especially like in my D&D campaigns and stuff, of failing forward. Whatever happens, you still progress. You still move on. And I kind of want to force that. So then there is no, select save, select load. So you can't like save scum. It's just every time you go to town, it saves the game. You move forward. And the idea was, if you go into the dungeon and force quit out, and then it's going to say, oh, that's the equivalent to your party wiped in the dungeon. I don't know if that's too extreme. That feels like that's too too mean to players by doing that, because then when they load back into the game, it says, "Oh, you were in the dungeon, you're not now." Okay, well, that means your party died. Start over with 4 base heroes. I feel like that's a little bit too mean. That's a little too aggressive. I'm trying to think here what the other option was for that. Oh, um, I just had and I just lost it. I hate when that happens. You're having a thought, you're going down the path, and then something shiny happens over here, and you totally lose where you were going with that. Save and load, XCOM style is what I like to call it. Um, the other thing that this is not what I was thinking of, but the other thing I was thinking of is what happens if our computer loses power? Do we ding the player because their system lost power? That doesn't seem fair. Um, but at the same time, it was a single save, auto save. It just automatically does it. It moves forward. Just give you an option to reset. Maybe we take something from incrementals and say, hey, you've gotten to level 3 or something like that. Let's reset, get you all back to base 0, wipe out everything, and give you some prestige thing to work with. So that I don't know what it would be, but maybe it's a prestige item. I don't know, something along those lines. My idea, I'm just trying to go through all this stuff because this very last part of the milestone is to lock our features. So after this milestone is where I'm going to say, this is it. This is what the game is. There is no more adding or removing or changing. So I'm just trying to cycle through all these ideas of where do I want the game to be? And then, we need to play test it some more and get some more feedback to make sure that things are where they need to be. Um, and with that, I need to do this, and we need to clean up the abilities before we do the next feedback. Same with targeting. We've got AoE working, but I need to get single target and stuff like that. So I need to get those addressed before we do the next playtest. But everything else, um, besides those two pieces of information to convey to the player, I think we're moving forward in a good direction towards the next playtest. So we're gonna get a boss built today. We're gonna make it so it happens when they explore, but then we need to also think about these features. Save and load. I've already come to the conclusion in my mind that I've locked in. It's not save slots. It's just auto save in town. Off you go. Um, yeah, but then the progression style is going to be the next thing. Um, and this is the other problem with the escalation mechanic is if I kick this down the road too long, it's going to be just nixed. We're going to cut it. So I don't know if we need it. I know it was in the feedback we had. I think we had escalation. I don't think it was that high on the list. Yeah, two people mentioned an escalation mechanic of some type, but I think I also roped in progression with that. So I think as long as we have the monsters getting harder and stuff like that, then I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal to force people to keep moving through the dungeon, but we'll see. So with that, we've got um, our boss that we need to build today, and we'll get that done. Again, if you're viewing on this and you haven't had a chance yet, vote in the poll. What do we want our boss to do? We're going to build out the character first. I'll end the poll, and then based on the results, we'll figure out how we're going to make him do that, and then we're going to build that into the game. So I don't have as much today planned as I normally do. I was exhausted last night. I didn't have a chance to come up with a plan of this is what I'm going to build on the stream. So this one's going to be a little bit more ad hoc than normal. Let's see. We don't need this. Don't need this. Don't need any of that. And we can just close all this stuff. Close all. Okay. So let's go back into our stuff. We are at 75 hours. Do we have... we don't have build boss. So let's add that as a card right now. Build boss fight. We'll put that in the current. Oh, we might as well just put in. And then we'll hit start work. Oop, there we go. Okay, so let's start work on our boss fight. Okay, so first things first, let's go into our enemies over here. Do we have a separate folder? Yeah, there we go. Enemies. Orc Blade, Orc Scout. Create new folder. This one was called the Pale Champion. Okay, and then let's grab our assets for this. Let's see, Pale Champion. We got attack. Let's just make sure I'm in the right one. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So we'll take all this. We'll bring those assets into the Pale Champion. Was there anything else that we needed from their folder? Oh, those were gifts. I didn't want to bring in gifts. I want to bring in the actual PNGs. Whoops, my bad. There we go. Okay. Shadows is one of those things I feel like I need to do. I just haven't done them yet because that's all polished stuff. But I do want to get the shadows in there as well because it adds just such a nice extra look to the thing. So let's start with a orc as a base scene, and then we will work from there. So we take our orc here. Let's do a scene. Let's go back over here. Here's our fearless orc. Look at him. He's so intimidating. Okay, so let's save this scene. Let's go into our Pale Champion. Okay. So we'll rename this. Okay, and so we can get out of here. Let's see, we got idle, and his idle is quite a bit here. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got 16 for his idle. Okay. So sprite. These guys are 16. Okay, so perfect. They have the same number. And look, he's not too much bigger. So I think he should fit nicely into a single square. He might be... So if I do this as... that's an 8 by 8 square. So he might be double size. Well, let's see. We'll save him here. Let's bring in... Do we have like a sample that we can use? Dungeon. Test tiles. Do we have a playground? We don't. Okay, let's just make a... We'll just make a new scene here. And we'll bring in some dungeon tiles. Dungeon tile map. Here we go. Boom. We'll just take our floor and we'll just draw a floor here. Okay. So then if we take our Pale Champion, we bring him in. Let's see how... Oops. Okay, we got to fix our Pale Champion here first. So let's save this. Where's our animation player? Reset. Texture. Idle. There we go. So now our reset. There we go. So that's how big he looks in a single. So you're going to be too big. Curious. So then if we bring in, say, like the... let's bring in the Barbarian next to him just so we can look. He's about the same size as the Barbarian. Yeah, no, that should be fine. We can keep him as one square. Okay. We don't need to save that at all. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go back down into our attack. Let's change this to bring in our sprites here for the attack. And these are a lot more. So we got, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So do that. H frames will be 8. So that means we also have to change his attack speed. Insert, 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 insert. Okay. So we got 3. This should be 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so then this should be choom. Okay, so let's take his health bar. Let's move that up just a little bit. I don't know what to do with these health bars. These are, I like the idea, but I think we may want to, oops, we may just want to move them so that the health bars are on here instead of on the map. Because right now, when they're on the map, they kind of overlap and they kind of get in the way, especially when it comes to targeting. Oh, that reminds me. This mouse control, mouse, we need to make sure that those are set to ignore so that they don't get in the way of us clicking on targets. But I'm thinking I might move them into the initiative tracker so that they don't get in the way. Let's see here. So we got the health bar animation. So we did reset, we did attack. Let's do die. Pale champion. Okay, so his die animation. Oof, that is quite long. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 20 frames long. Okay. So texture, die, H frames, 20. 2 seconds to die might be, well, it's a boss, so we'll see. 11, that's frame 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, I forgot to change this. I thought I changed that to 20. I did. Okay. 20, let's see, where are we? Did I miscount? It looks like it may not be 20. Oh, it's an odd number. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. So it'd be 20. It'll be 21. 21. That should be right. Yeah, 21. Okay. Let's see. We left off. There's 10, 11. That should be 12, 13. I know I could just go into the sprite and add these manually, but it's not how I'm doing it right now. 16, 17, 18, and our final frame of 19. Okay. Bloof. Boom. Okay, so let's go back to reset so we don't get the other things here. We've got die. Let's go to hit. And let's see, here's hit animation. Damage, here we go. And that is just 4, so that should be nice and easy. Boom. Yep. 4. Idle is... that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so this one is 16 as well. So let's bring that in here. Make sure this is set for 16. It is. Okay. And there's a little hop. Okay. And move. Move 4. His move is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That took me way too long to count to 6. So that means this needs to be a little bit longer. And this is why I like dealing with a tenth of a frames to be a tenth of a second, because then it's just easier math to do. Everybody has different preferences, but I mean, that's what mine is. There we go. So we got him walking. Okay, so we have our animation here. Right now we have an even split pull. Let's see, what else do we need here? So we got the Pale Champion. Let's look at his script. Class name. We'll call him. Oh, let's not do this. Let's do. We'll copy this. We'll decouple that because I don't want to actually alter the orc script. I want to create the Pale Champion script. Can't tell you how many times I've done that when I was learning Godot. I was changing a script that was associated with something else because I wasn't thinking that file was linked. I have to remove and re-add it. Super. This is going to be champion spawned. Okay. So I got that. We have. Let's look at his collision shape. He's only going to be 1 square, so that's. Is that our? No, this is our targeting shape. So our targeting shape, we probably want it to be. This is the part that's hard because the targeting shape. This covers the square that he's in. Yeah, we don't want to change that because AoE uses this to figure out if they're overlapping. No, AoE uses the character's current cell to determine whether they're in there. So our AoE is not going to be affected by this, but this is our clicking. This is where we click the mouse. It'll determine. But if we change our targeting so we actually show the reticle and change it from just the standard mouse cursor to like a targeting crosshair, then people will know like, oh, I'm not okay, now I've targeted him. So I think that will, when we get that system fixed, that we should be good there. Okay. And we need right now his decision engine is he does melee attack and move. And do all of our melee attacks do the same damage? They do, don't they? Where do we assign the monster's AP? I thought we did that. Max iterations. We go through the iterations. End turn the action. We set the action points to 0. Is it here in? Oh, you know what we can probably do? I bet you if we go into our actor class, because this, I believe, is where we define our action points. Action point changed. Current HP. Max action points. Here we go. Let's change this into an export var. So then it'll be 2 for everybody by default. And then we come back over here, we can actually change max action points here. So we can possibly give him 3 actions or something along those lines. Okay, so let's see here. So that gives him an extra thing. His decision engine right now is melee attack and move. I mean, it doesn't make sense to give him a ranged attack because he's just got a blade arm, unless he throws something. Could do like a demoralizing shout. Yeah. Let me think here for a second. So right now in our poll, we have raw damage output, buffing allies, and controlling the battlefield. So if we give them like an extra step of like rally cry or something like that, we could give him basically the barbarians defense buff boost, but we give the monsters a buff, so they get extra attack dice. So yeah, I think I kind of like that idea. I'm gonna give that just a little bit longer. Let's just try to put him in. I just want to see what he looks like right now when we spawn him into the game. So come into our monster spawner, tier 1. Let's replace this with the Pale Champion. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So we clearly broke something. Valid access property movement. Did we forget to set something on the Pale Champion? What did we forget? Let's bring up our orc. Let's see. Because it should be just extending the orc scripts right now. Oh, we didn't give him character stats. That's what we forgot to do. Okay, so let's give him character stats. His movement, he leaps around. You know, we can make him just a little bit faster. Let's give him, say, 4 attack dice. Let's give him 10 hit points. There we go. Let's see what happens here. Cannot call method. Oh, I didn't assign. Animation player. Oops. My bad. Do we forget anything else? No. That should be good there. Okay. One more time. So let's see. He hit for 1 damage. If we attack him. Barely moved. Okay. Let's attack him again. And we missed. Throw a bomb at him. Is that... Oh, you know what? I never connected his health bar. Wait, did that not... How did we do this? I thought we had to connect the health bar. On ready, progress bar, actor. Oh no, this just connects in to his signals. Okay, never mind. Okay, one more time. Okay, get in there, be a meat shield. Okay, let's do a word of pain on him. Oh, that did 2 damage. Let's try it again. One damage. Okay, fireball. Oh, it is a little bit behind. You can't quite see it, but... I mean, it definitely does feel stronger with this setup. And there we go. See it? He dies. Okay. And now if we move over to like one of these and we get 2 of them to spawn. Oh, that's only 1. There we go. Now if we have 3 of these guys, that should really overwhelm the party if our abilities weren't so overpowered. Because they're definitely not balanced at this point. Well, that's a total miss. I didn't even see that guy. Say fireball. I can't get the fireball up there, but I can get these guys. Yeah. Whereas with the fireball taking 2 action points, it definitely feels like it's underpowered compared to the other stuff. Okay, well, these guys do feel sufficiently tough. I don't know if I... I'm just thinking about here because when they take the damage, well, he takes the damage, his health bar goes down. This guy does his dice roll, and then we play the animations. I think that's fine. I don't think it's as big of a deal. So now the other thing I'm curious about. Boom. Here we go. We do this again. Oh, we should have done the defense bluff, but they're gonna kill the. Yep. There he goes. Barbarian down. This very well could wipe out my party. I don't know how you're staying alive, Wizard. You have some sheer dumb luck. Oh, here we go. We should wipe out two of them, I think. No, no. Oh, yep, two. Okay, what happened there? Why? How did we get this? How did we get this soft lock? We attacked with fireball. The wizard's turn is over. Why didn't it move on? Where are we? Oh, bugs. These are fun to find. How did we soft lock from a fireball? Let's see. Where are we? Targeting machine. Where it's in idle, so the menu should be showing. HUD. To action panel container. It is hiding. Why is it? Why did it not show? No, nothing here. So why did that not show? Because I can turn this back on and we can just end the turn. Oh, wait a minute. That guy still exists. He didn't die properly. Okay, our bosses did not die properly. That looks like the main reason. Oh, what did we do to make it so that they're still alive? Oh, did we do something in player script that we should be doing in actor because both the monsters and the player needs it? Mm -mm -mm. No, nothing here in the player script. I was expecting something like like die or something like that, but I think that's all just an actor. Died, dead. I wonder. Let's go back here. Let's put our pale champion back to 1 hit point. I wonder if this is the problem we have with everything, if it's got more than 1 hit point. Throw it. Boom. He dies. Okay, so he did not clear up. Okay. So it looks like we might have a problem with the pale champion. Wait, let's try one more thing. Okay. Let's okay. Kill him. 0. He dies. Does not clear up. So I'm back here to act. He's not in the actors. Where the heck does he exist? And now he's gone. Why didn't he clean up properly? Okay. So we've got a problem. Why is he not cleaning up when he dies? But this orc is? I mean, there's no difference in them. They're the exact same script. Let's go back to our monster spawner. Let's switch this back over to an orc. And let's just see. We're having the same problem with orcs. I want to make sure it's not specifically the boss. So if I move here, he dies. Yeah, and he got removed. So why is the pale champion different? Oh, you know what? I bet you. Hold on. I have an idea. So if we go back to our orc and we look at our animation player, like die. Die is set for 1.2. So if we come back here, we set our die to 1.2. And then we try it with our pale champion. I bet you this will work fine. I bet you we have a delay somewhere that is causing the cleanup to try to happen before. Yeah, that's what's happening. Okay. Because we made this die animation longer, it wasn't getting cleaned up. It wasn't getting cleaned up properly. And so this should be 2 seconds. So let's see. Is that in... Oh, is that the combat manager? Where were we doing that? Actor. We did the die.emit. If is dead, return. Where is 0 HP? On 0 HP. Is dead is true. Queued animation equals die. Oh, where's our resolution? Resolve. Here we go. Resolve it. If it's dead, if is dead, then emit died. But where are we checking for the resolve? Oh, game board. Game board. Attack. Actor attack. We select the target. We do this if it's a melee range. Ability targets. Okay, let's check our combat manager. Okay, combat manager. Attack. So if we attack it, we build the pool, we await the rolls, do the damage. If the damage is greater than 0, take the damage. And that will queue up the stuff. Damage is less than 0. Otherwise, await this. If target is dead, if target is monster, drop the gold. Gold found. Await, unregister. But why? I don't have any... We don't have a timer anywhere in here. Combat Manager, game board. Do we have a timer in the game board? No. I don't have a timer anywhere here. Do we have a timer? We gotta have a timer somewhere. There we go. Game over screen, stairs up, spike trap, decision engine. Oh. Is this... No, that's not going to affect what we're doing because that's just them deciding what to do. Nope. Nope. Okay, so it's not that. So why is the death animation? So here we go. We queue up the animation. We wipe out the queued animation. I think I'm going to move this. I'm going to take this here. So if they're dead, else, here's where I'll reset that queued animation. Let's see if that... Oh, let's double check something. Pale champion, animation player, die. That's a single pass. Okay, so it's 2 seconds, single pass. Do we set this back to our pale champion? Yeah, okay. Let's just see here. There we go. Okay, so you hit him. Okay, and now it looks like it's working right. Okay. So let's see if we can find some more. Let's see here. You move up here. There we go. Okay, so we did a melee attack. Let's see if we can do Word of Pain. Will that reach up to him? Nope. Okay, so let's move him closer. Gotta fix that gooey stuff, but we'll get there. Okay, so we do that. We attack him. He dies. And he's cleared from the queue. Okay, let's set him back to multiple hit points just so then we can make sure that that's working. Yeah, that was just a poor choice on my part about where to put the cleaning out the queued animation. Okay, let's do this. Beep, beep, beep. Oh. Somebody delivered a package to my front door. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Divine Fire. Word of Pain. Wow, we're not doing a very good job on this, are we? Okay, let's move up here. Let's do some attacks. Let's try him with 10 just to make sure his hit points don't break anything. Oh, never saved. Sorry, just hit my mic stand. I never saved the stat up here in this export. So let's try this one more time. Okay, Fireball. That should get both of them. Oh, what do you guys think? You think we should keep these health bars here, or should we just move them up to the initiative tracker so then we can see them? Oh, I don't want. There we go. Let's see here. Attack. Thunderblade. Let's see if we can get them both. Okay. So I've already encountered something, even myself knowing how the game works. I totally missed that this got explored at the end of the wizard's turn. So I definitely need to have like a little bit of a pause, thump, like here's the new tile to make sure the player's aware of it. Because right now we're moving the camera to the next actor right off, and it's real easy to miss the fact that now there's 4 bosses. So sorry, one more time. Let's see. Nope, totally missed. We need to add that in so it doesn't roll if we totally miss. But I also feel like I need to refine this and make it so that some of these powers do a bare minimum of, this one always does 2 damage or something like that. Let's see here. We got shurikens. Let's throw a bomb. Let's see if we can kill that guy. Yeah, see I think the right here, the health bar on the barbarian is preventing me from clicking on the orc. So even though we saved that, okay, so that did clean them up. So that all works. Okay. Okay, so these guys are pretty nasty right now. They do hit very hard. Okay, so let's see here. We've got no more votes in the poll. So let's see if we can do a. We got raw damage right now. He's doing a 4 attack, which I think is pretty strong. So let's do a controlling the battlefield and buffing allies. Let's see. How can we integrate that into it here? So we'd have to give him a new decision. We'll have to make him cast a buff. So let's see. Our buff. Do we have the buff manager on? I'm assuming we have it on the actors. Buff manager. Or did we just add that to players? I thought we added it to the stats. Buff manager. Yeah. Okay. So we have that on the actors. Okay. So that should be fine there. So we'll just have to do basically the same thing we're doing with like the barbarians. Let's see, where is the barbarian? Barbarian and abilities, battle cry. So we already have, this is a defense boost. So if we make a new one of these, I can actually just do this. Do save as Pale Champion. Nope. I want to do over here. This. Oh, it's just taking my last thing. Okay, so this will be a. What do we want to call this? This is going to be buffing his fellow orcs. So neighboring orcs will get a +1 attack die or something like that. So we call it a. We already called the barbarians one battle cry, so maybe we. Champion rally. How about that? We'll call it. Whoops. Champion rally.trez. There, save. Okay. So then if we come back into our pale champion. Okay. So here's our buff. And this will be called, what will we call it again? Champion rally. Okay. Boost nearby allies +1. That's the description. It's going to cost them 1. AoE radius 2. What is our AoE? So if it's a radius 2, that might be a little extreme. Why don't we just do it so it's anything that's standing next to them? So we'll just do that. Radius 1. Okay. Just, I want to make sure that we're using the same terminology here. Okay, so we come back over here. Champion rally. AoE radius of 1. Target type area. Targets allies. Yes. Icon. We'll have to make a new icon or something like that for it, but that's fine. And then this is using battle cry. So let's load up battle cry. We're going to change this. We're going to do save scene as, oops, not save scene, save script. Save as, and we're going to do this under the enemies, pale champion, and oh, we're going to keep our champion rally. Okay. Okay, so we're in champion. No. God dang it. I don't want .tscn in that file name. There we go. Champion rally. Wow. Typing. Champion rally. Var. This is going to be the, we'll just call it monster. Okay. Monster, monster. Monster. That's a good point. We don't have a battle cry. We're going to call this champion rally. Animation. So we're going to have to create one for our pale champion. So let's do that. Let's see here. Let's look at, where's this attack? Here we go. Oh, hit reset first. Now attack, yeah. So he's got this little like right here where you're raising his hand. So let's use this. Let's clone this, duplicate track. I'm going to call that champion rally. And then what we can do here, we can use like this. And then what we can do is we can take these. Let's get rid of this. What if we just do like, I don't think this is going to look right, but let's just say. Okay, so if we do that, but we keep those here, but then we take these two, we copy them, we paste them in here. Yeah, I don't know if I like. Why don't we do like this? He raises it up. And then we'll have to have like a scream or maybe some visual effect. So then we kind of have a, we're using that animation. He raises his hand in the air. Then we'll have to have like a scream, roar or something. I kind of wanted it to go back and forth, but they don't really have the animation. I don't really have the ability to make it. I think just raising it up, holding it there, and then maybe we have another effect. This is getting back into the polish thing, because then I think when he does that, and then like all the other ones around, like get the buff go and like, glow green or something like that. So we do this. Okay, so we have our animation for it. Let's go back over here to our scripts. So here's our champion rally. Where was our this? We need to change that script. Okay, so that changed. We probably just broke battle cry. Let's just double check. Battle cry. Nope, that one actually did stay. Okay, good. I was so expecting that Godot would change this, because a lot of times in the past when I've done resources and stuff like that, it's done that on me. Okay, so champion rally, it is using the champion rally script. Boost all the nearby allies. The resource here, though, is we need to change. Get the icon buff. Here it is. buff. This is champion rally. Icon duration is 3. Dictionary. This becomes edit. Nope, we need to delete this entirely. Remove. New key, string. Attack dice. And this will be an integer 1, and we add it. There we go. Okay. So that's the champion rally. Again, let's just double check. I want to make sure I'm not breaking battle cry. Okay, I did not break battle cry. Good. Okay, so here's our champion rally. We get this. That's cool. Buff. Okay, so we have the ability made. We have it right here. We have it so we have the is valid target. We have the attack actors. Combat manager. For actor and actors, actor buff, add buff. Okay. So we're doing that. I don't think we need to change anything there because we separate out the targeting stuff. So we just have the is valid target. So what we need to do is we need to create a new decision engine that will make our pale champion use this. So if we come back into our decision engine here, we have melee attack and moves. These are all stored in, where did we store all these? And we put that under core components. Monster logic, yep, there we go. And so this is all going to be a logic step. So we're going to extend logic steps. And this is a ranged attack. This is a melee attack. Okay, so let's copy this. This is going to be our base thing. Copy. We're going to make a new one. Create new. Script. And want to use champion? Yeah, we'll make it its own thing. Champion rally. There we go. Then we'll Control A, Control V. So class name. This will be and that's going to extend the logic step. And all this stuff is already going to be here because it's all part of that. Oh, I already used this, didn't I? Class name. Champion Rally Logic. Yeah, we'll call it Champion Rally Logic. There we go. Okay, so then we've got this. So we've already got these action names, the AP cost. So we need to have a requirements. Because remember, the way that our decision engine works is we loop through, we check to make sure the monster has action points, and we haven't been through too many. And then it'll go through each one of the ones that are over here in order. So our first step in this case, this is right now, he tries to attack melee and then moves. So what we need to do is we're going to start with the champion rally. We're going to check to see first, we want to see, is there champion rally active right now? Because if it's active, we don't want to cast it again. So if it's active, we'll just move on. We'll skip the step and say it's not valid. If it's not active, he'll cast it. My mind just went, do we want to cast it if there's no other allies nearby? It kind of adds some strategy because then he's going to waste an action point casting that. So that kind of helps with some strategy for the players. I kind of like that idea. Okay, so let's go back into monster logic here, champion rally. So let's work on this function right here, the requirements function. Okay. So what we need to do first is we need to check to see if the buff is active. And we just did this with our buff manager, I think it was. Buff manager. Buff manager. Here we go. Because when we do the add buff, we look through the existing buffs and then we remove it before we do any of that stuff. So what we need to do is we need to look through the buff manager. Do we have a check for buff? We do not, but we can definitely add one. Yeah, so right here, this is checking for a buff. So let's just take this. We'll call this check for buff, right? So we'll go through this. This will be a bool. Okay, so we'll check for it for existing buffs and buff. If existing buff equal the name, instead of removing buff, we can just do return true. Okay, and then else will return false. Okay, so what we can actually do now is here, when we do this, we can just do if check for buff. So if that buff's there, we remove it. If check, oops, I've chopped off an F. There we go. Oh, wait, that's not going to work because that requires me to find if existing buff, that buff name. Yeah, we'll just leave that there. That's fine. Return true. Okay. Duplicating logic. I'm just trying to figure out, what would be, should I return instead of bool? Nah, this is fine. We'll do this. This is perfectly fine. We'll check for the buff. We'll return true or false. Okay. So what we can do, we'll come back into our champion. Where is it? Monster logic. Here we go. So if monster dot buff manager dot check for buff, and then we want to send in our, not ourself, we want to send in champion rally this. So if we check for the buff, then we can return false. So we don't meet the requirements. Should be buff, but it's champion rally. That is a buff, isn't it? Did the champion rally not champion? Oh, the extensibility. I need the buff. Battle cry. So what I need is the buff of that ability. Okay, so that's what I need to do. So champion rally dot buff dot buff. There we go. There we go. Because we defined it in the ability right here instead of making this a separate file. Okay, so if buff manager check for buff, return false, else we can return true. Okay, so when we check this, we can say, yes, we meet the requirements, we can execute the step. So then in the step, we can do, let's see, how do we do that in monster logic? Let's look at melee attack. So when we execute, we can just, we'll do this, and then we go through, we find all the targets. and we attack the targets. Okay, so let's just do this right now. I just want to make sure this works. So if I come back into, here we go, Monster Logic, print, casting, champion, rally. Okay, so we do this. We come back to our Pale Champion, our decision engine. We add an element, quick load. Champion rally, but let's move that to the first step. There we go. So this is our first logic, is we'll go through this first. If it is possible, we're going to do that. Do we have to return execute is a bool? Okay. So if I go back to champion logic here, we have return. Right now, it's just going to be return true. Okay. So this should spend the action point. So basically what should happen each time is right now, the Pale Champion's not going to do anything. He's going to cast, C-H-A-M-P. Did I misspell champion? Maybe not. Looks like I did, but so it's just going to do casting rally, and then it's not going to do anything. So he's just going to sit there if this is working as I think it should be. Okay. Casting champion rally. His turn is over. Did you do it twice? Let's see here. Champion spawn, champion spawn, champion spawn. Monster Logic running. Casting champion rally. Casting champion rally. Yep. Okay. So he does nothing, and then when it gets to these next two guys, they're going to do the same thing. Yep. Boom, boom. Okay. So we're going through. We're trying to find it there. But if we need to cast it, then what we need to do is we need to add that buff into it. So we need to... I'm going to put this in for a note. Find all targets. And then we need to do add buff to all targets. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to find everyone that's around him. So if we use, did we write our targeting machine in a way that the monsters can use it? I don't remember. Oh. We wrote this as a state machine, so I don't think I can do... I can't do that, but what about our AoE target? So if we pass in the target... Targeted cell emit. So this is, we target the cell. Right, and then we pass it back to, do we pass it back to the game board? I think we pass it back to the game board. Target selected. Okay, so if we do this, target selected. Wait, where's our AoE targeting? AoE target selected. There we go. So AoE target selected. So this, we pass in actor's ability target cell. Where is our AoE targeting? Didn't we have a, whoops, game board. Thought we had a separate AoE. AoE target selected. Get available. Get all actors in range. Here we go. This is what we need. Get all actors in range. Copy. Okay. So if we do this, we come back over to our this. So we can do the game board, which does our actor have a reference to the game board? I forget. Our actor does not, but does monster. Monster might. Oops, that's functions. I want to be over here. Monster. Monster. Okay. Our monster. We do not set up a game board reference with the monster. Oh. Let's look at game board. Actors, spawners. We set it up, but we give this to actors. How are we going to talk back? Let's look at how we do it in the attack. Where's the attack script? Melee attack. Here we go. So for player and players, if monster is in melee range, oh, we can just do this, right? We do for the monsters because it's only going to target their allies. So if we do for monster and monsters, but we're not passing this in. Or are we? Oh, wait. Let's look at our decision engine because our decision engine actually has stuff. Decision engine has our logic step. It has the monster. It has the players array. It does not have find all players. You know what? Maybe we need a find all monsters. Let's do that. Because if we're going to be buffing, find all monsters. Monsters. Okay. For monster. I don't want to use monster. I'll do underscore monster. In monsters. Oh. No, we can do that here. We're just going to do a this monsters. There we go. Okay. So wipe it out. Circle through. This needs, whoops, this needs to be, come on, double click. Thank you. Monster. There we go. Okay, so that will find all the monsters. What? Oh, that's over in my champion rally. That's fine. So we'll get all the monsters. Okay. And then we can run all the monsters if they're within melee range, and they'll be range 1. So let's go back into our champion rally here. We can do how do we do this again in melee attack? How do we reference it to monster players array? I'm trying to think again. So we got this players right here. Should we pass in the we don't need to worry about here. We need to worry about here in the execute. We're passing in a players array. I don't want to do that. I want to pass in the monsters array. So we're not going to use players, but can we get how are we calling these steps? we need a reference to this decision engine. Do we have a reference here under monster? I think we do. I think we do. Yes, we have decision engine. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's go back into our stuff. That makes this a little bit easier. Okay, so find all targets. We do monster. Whoops, monster dot decision engine dot find all monsters. Okay, so this will be a var monsters equals find all monsters. Okay, so we'll get that if for monster in monsters, if monster, what was that again? If monster is in melee, where's the attack? Monster, melee attack, here we go. If monster is in melee range, so if monster, we don't need the underscore here, is in melee range of the underscore monster, okay, then we can apply the buff right here. So if we do that, if monster is in melee range monster, we can apply the buff. So we can do monster dot apply, oh no, buff manager dot do it that way. Add buff, and then we want to send in this like that. Okay. Okay. So then that should add the buffs in. Okay. So this says check for the buff. So after they cast the buff, it should return true. So what should happen, we just go through this, thinking through, making sure all this logic is here. We cast the champion rally. So we find all the monsters that are near me. We go through each one, see if they're in melee range of me, just a real simple check if they're right around us. And if they are, add the buff. Okay, and then return true. We cast it. So the bare minimum, our self will be buffed. So then when we check it, we're checking ourself, make sure the buff is on ourselves. So this should also increase the attack of the Pale Champion. So he'll check for the champion rally, check to see if he can melee attack, and then move. That's where we're trying to go with this logic. Okay, so let's see here. Boom. We can't iterate on null. Oh, I can just get rid of this. I don't need this right here. Okay, so we got our monster. End turn. Okay, so we've gone through. Let's look at our output. He says, yes, I need to cast Champion Rally. He's casting it. We went through all the monsters, but then it's saying that there is nothing here. So let's do a print error monsters. Okay, so let's see what's in our monster array. It sounds like there's nothing. There isn't anything. Okay, so let's go find is monster is in melee range. I think that's in our actor. Is in melee range. Target cell, max range. Oh, you know what? Let's use this instead. Let's use in cell ranged. Monster, comma 1. Is that going to work? So if 1 squared is 1. So 1 plus 1, that's going to equal 2. So that's not going to work. We need to keep with the melee range. Okay. Oops, wrong thing. Let's go back here. Let's keep this melee range within the range of the monster. So this is the monster. Monsters. Monster decision engine, find all monsters. Oh, monster decision engine, find all monsters. Monsters is nothing. Find monster. So get all the nodes and monsters. Did I do this grouping right? Yeah, monsters. Okay, so that's fine. Possible player monsters, append monster. Oh. We have this as a void function. It's not returning anything. We're asking it to do that. So either we need to change this to return that array, or we can just iterate off the monster array that's in the decision engine. Let's return an array. Okay, and then we can just do return monsters. There we go. Okay, that should fix that. Okay, so let's see. We got a couple more turns here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so we should. Okay, so let's see. What did he do? So error. Where's the... That's to the dungeon. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. Monster logic running. He cast Champion Rally. It ended. Then he went to iteration 2, and that was moving towards the priest. Okay, so if we look at him, if we look at the actor, he should have that buff on him. So if we look at him, his buff manager, he does have Champion Rally cast on him. Okay. Did not see the animation, though. Let's try that one more time, because I did not see the animation of him actually casting it. Yeah, he did not do the animation. Okay, so let's go back in here. Oh, because we never actually told it to play the animation. Of course. That would be why it doesn't work. Okay, so for monsters and monsters, we'll go through this. We'll do monster animation player play, and this was called Champion Rally. Is that what we called that? I think that's what we called that. Pale Champion animation player Champion Rally. Okay, this should show the animation now. Oh wait, we need to do await monster animation player dot animation finished. There we go. Okay, now let's try that. Okay, come on. Let's find a bad guy. There we go. Okay. And turn. Okay. So now he should cast it. Boom. There it is. Okay. Moves. This guy should already have the buff. Yep. So he didn't do that. He moved and attacked. Okay. So we have got the buffing allies. We've added that. We've given them some raw damage output. Now we just need to figure out how to make him control the battlefield. How can we do that? What else do we want him to do? That's a good question. Any ideas from chat? Do we want him to throw out a spike trap, or what do we want him to do? Let me think here. I would love to make him like scared, make him frightened, so that the bad guy, the good guys have to move away. But that takes away player agency, and I'm not a big proponent of taking away player agency. Yeah, what could you do there, Mr. Pale Champion, to control the battlefield? I mean, we could do. I'm just going to end this poll right now because we already got the results of that. Um, let's see. We have a spike trap, but what else could we do? I don't want the. I was like, my mind just went, "Hey, we can have him throw up a wall and change a tile to make it so you can't pass." But I don't want to do that because then we possibly break navigation of the dungeon. Um, trying to think because like throwing the trap out is a cool idea, but if we're going through a logic progression every single time, where right now we're doing champion rally, okay, that's not valid. Can I melee attack? That's not valid. Can I move? Then I have to move. Um, and move is kind of like our default of let's find whoever's closest and move to them. But where would we fit a trap into that step logic? You know what? Let's go over here. Let's take a look at TOE boss. Let's see if we have a boss card or something. Boss card. Oh, that doesn't help me any. What are the bosses? Earth Elemental. And they're not showing it. D&D adventure board game. I may have to run downstairs and actually get the card that goes with this. I mean, we've got, references to it, but I don't have the actual card. Oh, you know what? Let's look at Board Game Geek. That might have it. TOEE D&D adventure game monster cards. There we go. Custom monsters. We'll look at one of those here. What we got? Custom monsters, 30 new monsters. Let's see what we got. We'll use some other people's ideas and see what we can look at these. Mimic Kenku. What do we have something that's do any of these have anything that's more tactical? Something that's going to be bigger. Well, these ones have 3 steps. Feat Fireblade. If they're within 1 tile of a hero, attacks each hero on the closest hero's tile with the Hurl Scimitar, and then moves adjacent to the closest hero and attacks that hero with a Fire Steel Strike. Um, hmm. Now, if it's on the same tile, if it's within 1 tile, otherwise it moves. A troll. We're not really a troll. Mind Flayer. If the Mind Flayer is within 1 tile of an immobilized hero, it moves adjacent to the closest immobilized hero and attacks that hero. If it's within 1 tile, it attacks each hero on the closest tile with a different attack. Yeah, the problem is we've only given our what's it called? We only have the one arm blade. Does this have a that file is no longer existing. Let's see. Werebat, Tomb Skeleton. I was hoping it had the actual like they have these cards for the bosses. Um, kind of wish I had the game box right here with me, so I won't have to search around. I can just grab the box and go get it. Now we're getting further and further away. If they're within one tile, basically I've said one tile is 4 squares. After the attack, pass this card to the player on the right. Oh, that's right. That's how the bosses work in that one. So in the board game, when you come across a square and the monster spawns, that player who spawned that tile becomes the owner, and that monster only acts on that owner's turn at the end of their turn. Whereas a villain or the boss characters act at the end of every player's turn. So they give them more actions that way, but they are spaced out. Yeah. I was hoping there'd be something more that was a little bit more fun to do, but not really seeing anything. And I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's go back. So we got traps already. Why don't we? You know what we could do? We could just make it so that they could reset a trap. How about that? Controlling the board, we make it so if they're standing on a square, on a trap square that's already been triggered, they can reset it. So then if they move off of it, it resets that trap. I wonder, I think that could be a lot of fun. That's going to be such a niche thing, though. That's only going to be if they're on a trap square, if the trap has been triggered. um, oh, you know what we could do? Using that, we can take, he's on the 4x4 tile. He can spend one of his actions to reset all traps on that tile. Yeah. So why don't we do that? Let's create a logic for him where he checks to see, finds all the traps that are on the tile with him. Because we do have a function, and here we go. We do have a function, I think, in our game board to look at the entire tile. It might be in the tile map. Let me see. Game board. Snap tile. Here we go. Snap tile. This returns everything that's within. Oh, this returns the origin. Position to sell. Has tile. I think, how do we want to do? Because we did this, we have traps right here. This traps. When we run the game, I'm trying to remember now. When I end turn, do I put the? Just trying to spawn. There we go. We got some traps. Now we can look at this. So we actually put all the spike traps under traps. Okay. So then what we need to do is we can go through each of these traps and then we can check which tile they're on. And if they're on the same tile as the Pale Champion, he can reset them. I think that would be a fun thing to do. Okay. So we go through this. We need to get a reference to this. Oh. That's going to be a good question. If we do, if we do this and we give this a unique name, can I access it from one of these? Let's find out. So let's go back to our logic. Logic step. We'll copy this. Copy. Go back to our Pale Champ, or not Pale Champion. We'll go to monster logic here. Create a new script. We're going to call this reset traps. Okay. So we'll paste this in. We're going to keep this as a logic step. We're going to call this reset trap logic. Okay. Keep that commented out. Okay, monster players. So what we can do is we need to check. So var traps equals percent traps dot get children. Right. So that should get all the traps on the board. Do I need to declare this as an array? ARRAY. Wow. Of node 2D. 2D. Cannot use shorthand get node notation percent on a class that isn't a node. Okay. Yeah, so I can't use the percent. Okay. So we're going to need a way for us to get a reference to the trap container in the game board. We can revoke that unique name. I feel like the monster should have a reference to the game board. So when we do the monster spawn, let's go look at our monster spawner. This exists on the game board. It does not exist. Yeah. So we do spawn monster. That goes into the actors. Oh, we're signaling back up to the game board to spawn a monster. Let's go back and look at our game board again. Game board. So we need to find everything that's under this so that then we can tell the Pale Champion that he's got traps to reset. Because I don't believe in this logic and the reset traps. I don't think I can use get root either, because I think that is gonna, yeah. So if I do that, it's gonna say I can't do that because we're this just self-contained script. So if we do monster, so we do have the monster itself. So there's got to be a reference we can use with the monster. We have the monster's current cell. We have the dungeon tile map. So we do have a reference to the dungeon tile map. What else do we have a reference to? So dungeon tile map. This is just drawing the tiles, finding out where the cell is. But we need to check because we need the logic. We can't just signal, hey, reset all the traps on this cell or on this tile, because we need to know first, are there traps that are not reset? Because if there's traps that are not reset, then we want to signal that. And we need to do some other logic because if a player is standing on that cell, we don't want to reset it if they're standing on it. We only want to reset it if they're not. Oh. Well, what we could do is we could send a request to the monster dungeon tile map. Thinking about this. This is again, trying to not ham fist it. I've already got enough ham fist stuff in here. What did we just do? We just changed our explore. How did we do show possibles, get available. Here we go. So we checked that, the tile origin, and then we have this right here. Again, we can find, we just have to get a reference to the game board. Should we, when we spawn a monster, should we just toss in the game board? Because I think the monster is going to need a reference to the game board. So maybe on a monster, we should just pass that in. I don't think the actor is going to need it because the actor is also going to exist outside the game board. But a monster should never exist outside the game board. Just double check and make sure there's nothing in actor. We got the dungeon tile map. But again, the dungeon tile map shouldn't exist unless it's outside the... Did we do any reference to like the game board at all in this? No. Combat Manager. Did Combat Manager use the reference to the game board? No. Targeting Machine must. Yeah, Targeting Machine definitely does use a reference to the game board. And that just says, hey, on ready. We could just put a reference in the actor's container, and then we can reference our parent, which is the actor's container, and have a reference to the game board. That might be useful. Why don't we just do that? Core components, actors, container. Okay, and then in here we can just do an unready game board equals, we'll just delete this, we'll put this in here, boom, that way. Okay, so then we have a reference to that via the actors. So then if we come back to, where's our reset traps? Here we go. So we do monster.getParent. I don't like doing it this way, but game board, okay, and then we can do, oh, we don't need a reference to game board in here. We need a reference to traps. That's what we need. Copy. So we can do var traps equals that gameboard.traps.get children. CHILDREN. Boom. Okay. And then we can do for trap in traps. And then we can just do I think the snap cell returns the parent cell. So if we can just do trap print Monster dot dungeon tile map dot snap tile. What was it again? Dungeon tile map. Where's dungeon tile map? There it is. Snap tile. Okay. Come down here. We do a snap tile, and then we send in the trap dot. Did our traps have spike trap? Spike trap. They do. They do not have a reference to where they actually live. Okay, so if we come back here, is this the one that? No, we need this position to cell first, because then that will give us the actual cell. Because this will take the global position and turn it into a local position, which then we can pass into snap tile, which will give us the origin. And then we can match the origin. Getting this all very convoluted by doing this. Okay, so for trap and traps, so you know what? Let's just hold on. Let's test this first. Print traps. Okay. Do a print error so it stands out. Okay, so this is reset trap logic. We're going to just say true here. Okay. So then this should just print out all the traps when this logic is hit. Execute fails. We're going to just do true for right now. Okay. So let's go back to our Pale Champion, Decision Engine, add the element of reset traps. So they'll check for rally, check for reset traps, melee attack, and then move. Okay. So this, okay, let's just move them over here. Move them over here so we don't trigger anything else. Okay, so then he's going to cast Rally Cry, or Champion Rally, and then he's going to try to check for traps, which there aren't any right now. So it should come back as null. Yep, and that looks like it was. Error, null. Okay. Okay, so let's see if we can get some traps to come up. Come on. There we go. We got some traps to come up. Okay, so now we should get a list. Yep, there we go. So now we have the list of traps. Okay. So that does work. Okay, reset traps. So we got the traps. Now if we circle through the traps, for trapping, you know what? Let's do another var here. No, triggered traps. Just going, and that's going to be an array of node 2Ds. And that's going to be blank to start with. So for trap and traps, if trap dot, what do we call these again? Trap dot. Is this what we're looking for? Trap player detector. Do we want to just add in a variable saying triggered? We'll just do this. Player detector monitoring equals false. And then we'll just do it that way. If trap.player detector monitoring equals false, then we can just do a what we call this again, triggered traps dot append trap. Okay. So then we can just do, we'll take this out. We'll go through all this, and then we're just going to append the triggered traps, or print the triggered traps. There we go. So now it should only collect what's triggered. So let's just make sure that that is the case and turn. Okay, empty, empty, empty. Okay, so now we got 4 traps. None of them are triggered. So we'll just get him set up so that he can get ready to trigger one next time. Okay, and turn. These guys aren't going to move and attack us right now. Okay, so we go through. Yep, everything's blank because no traps have been triggered. So now if I move here, trigger 1, trigger 2. Okay, so these traps are triggered. Now when these guys go off, I should have both references to those. Yep, okay, now we have 2 traps triggered. Perfect. Okay, so then what we need to do is we need to... Boy, that'd be just a dick move. It'd be easy programming if I just then trigger reset trap. If he's going to be able to do this often, maybe we just pick a random one and re-trigger it. I think that might be fun too. We can do that. Triggered traps dot pick random dot reset trap. Is that what we called it? Reset trap. Reset trap. Okay. So if we do that, okay. Okay. So whoops, end turn. So he's there. Reset trap. Oh, we need to say if triggered traps dot empty is empty. If it's not empty, then do it. Come on, get some traps. We need some traps. Wow, this many moves with no traps coming up. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we have 2 traps. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so now we want to move him down to here. He'll trigger both traps. Boom, boom. Okay. Then we'll just move him off so we can see. Yep, and both traps got reset. Okay. You know what? I just thought of something. That's going to allow him to reset 2 traps a turn because we're going to go through that every single time. We're going to go through champion rally, reset traps, and then what's it called? Reset traps a second time. So why don't we add some logic into this? Let's do, this is the requirements. Oh, wait, this is, need to put this in here. We need to put trigger traps up here because that needs to be a global variable. And then we can do if, let's just do this, if triggered traps dot is empty, return false. Okay. So then if there's no triggered traps, then it'll return false. If there is triggered traps, then it can do this. We have this check to see if it's empty. And then we pick a random one, and we reset it, and we say this, yes, it executed properly. Do we do it with AP cost? We should probably check the AP cost. Let's make this an AP cost 2. So then when we do the reset traps here, where do we, Pale Champion, Decision Engine, AP cost 2, reset traps. Okay. Okay. It's AP1. Okay. So we say that. So we got that. Reset traps cost 2 points to do. But now we have the logic. So if there is no traps to reset, it will return false. If there is, it will reset one random one. It will cost 2 points. And then, so this, when we execute, if the AP cost is less than the action points. Okay. So then if he did the rally cry, he can't do the reset traps. So did the rally cry, did a move. Okay. See if we can get some traps to come up here. There we go. Okay. These guys have like 10 hit points right now, so we're not going to be able to really kill them, but let's do some damage to them at least. Oh, 1 damage. Ooh. Okay, let's see if I can get somebody to trigger one of these traps. Guard. Defensive battle cry. Stay alive, guys. Oops. Didn't move off that thing. My bad. Okay, the priest is up next. Perfect. Okay, so if the priest moves over here and we trigger. Okay, we triggered 2 of them. He's dead. What's this? Cancel movement targeting. Pale champion. How did we get there? Oh, I think we jumped into the. It was trying to target the priest, and the priest didn't exist anymore. This is in the exit state. If the game board current actor and not game board current actor movement, cancel movement targeting. Do we need to add in and game board current actor dot is dead and not current actor is dead? Wonder if that will work. Okay, so we got some traps. Let's move up here and trigger off these traps. Boom. Boom. Okay, so we got some champions here. Huh. So we're not letting the spike traps finish resetting because right now they're up. They should be down. Either way, so let's see. Let's end turn on him, end turn on him. So this, we should have, I don't know which one of these guys it is. I need to add that level of feedback. They're going to do a rallying cry. Then they should reset one of these traps. Rallying cry, reset a trap. Okay, so if I move him down here, those traps do not look like they're reset. Let's look at our game board. Traps. Spike trap. Player detector is on. Is on. Okay. Did they... Champion... Cast and Champion Rally. Move towards the priest. Move towards the priest. So I don't think that those traps triggered properly. So I think we have a bug in those traps. Trigger a trap. Move off the trap. Okay, so those traps now look like they reset properly. What caused those last time to? I think what we're experiencing is the character's turn ends, and then the monster logic starts running too fast and takes over and doesn't let the spike finish its 2-second reset. Okay, but let's see here. So he should do a rally cry, and then he should reset one of these traps randomly. Rally cry. He did not reset the trap. Okay, monster logic running. Iteration 1. He did this, ended. Iteration 2 was moving. Okay, so he did not reset the trap properly. So we look at the traps. We look for triggered traps. Let's add in a print error here. Triggered traps. Let's just make sure there is a triggered trap for him to reset. Okay, so boom. So we'll do that. Look, okay, so we have 2. They are reset. So we end turn. So they should not do the rallying cry, but it should reset the trap twice. So the first one to act is not going to do anything. He reset one trap. Oh, because it costs 2 AP. That's right. We made it so it costs 2 AP. Okay. But why did this one not reset a trap? Let's see. So he attacked. Where is the here? Monster trap. So there's 2 spike traps. Melee attacking on the second one, which makes sense. Maybe not. Let's just end these turns and see if he resets the other one. Yep, he reset the other one. Oh, I think what's happening is I'm iterating through twice, but I'm not properly doing the monster AP. I think that's what's happening. Because if I look through our logic here, we have iterations. We have a max of 10 iterations. And that's just our max cycle, just in case we get stuck in a forever loop. So what we can do here is we look at our action points. So while the action points are greater than 0 and iterations are less than the max, we go through and iterate current loop iteration. If game manager is running game running return, that's fine. Find all the players. Next step, find valid step. If there is no valid step, okay. If we found one, execute iteration ended. Current loop iteration ended. So this just doesn't look like it did it properly. Because it says here, if monster action points are greater than equal the previous action points, step didn't spend the action point. And we subtract 1 action point. Oh, okay. We're not subtracting the action, the step action points. Ah. So here we are. We set the max action points for the monster. So we go through here. We check. We find the step. Execute the step. So here's our previous action points. We execute the step. And then we go to the next step. So if... Okay, so we need to subtract the action points from the monster. That's where we're messing up. Okay, so let's see here. Let's take... Here's where we're awaiting the execute step. So if we go back into our logic, so like right here, execute, we're doing all this, but we're not subtracting the AP cost. So right here with true, we need to take the monster dot action points minus equals action point cost. There we go. Okay. Let's make sure we didn't break them. Because we may very well have. That won't surprise me. Come on, get some traps. There we go. One. And he moved. Okay, let's move. Trying to find some traps. Nope. Wow. Hey, there's some traps. Hey, a rogue, I think you might be a little bit hosed there, buddy. I think our rogue's gonna die. Bye-bye, rogue. Oof. I just realized I have a potential exploit for the bad guys I didn't think of for the Pale Champion. I think it's going to be fine because we're only going to spawn one is the plan. But right now, like if he doesn't have the buff and then steps in and then casts the buff, he'll end up doubling the other people around him's buff. Right? Because, yeah, well, no, because we did the buff first. Anyway. Okay. We're trying to check the trap reset. Let's see if we can get this working. Probably going to lose the entire party to this Pale Champion. It's just crying out. It's saying, hey, I need sound. You need to add sound. It's just, I haven't done it yet, but it definitely feels like it needs it. I think Healing Word is bugged. I don't want to try it right now until I test this first. Okay, so we set off the trap. Set off the trap. Okay. It reset. Pale Champion, they reset one of them. They should have reset both of them. Oh, you know what it was? Because of that delay, it was not showing that it was reset. Okay. So the next one, he should, if he's got the AP, reset the trap and end his turn. Reset trap, end turn. Yep. Okay. Wait a minute. So we disconnect it here, and then I just tried to reconnect it. So it means it tried to reset all these traps that were previously cleared. So did this not wipe out? Oh, we never cleared. I see. We need to set this up. We need to blank that out. That's what was causing that. Okay. Oh, good. We got some traps to trigger right offhand. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can get a pale champion to show up. There we go. Perfect. Just go stand here. So what's going to happen in theory, if this is programmed right, he's going to do his battle cry or champion rally, and then he won't be able to execute the reset trap because he needs 2 action points. He doesn't have it. So then he should move towards the priest, and he's going to move to this square because I just know how the logic works. Boom, move to that square. Okay. Next turn, he'll already have the champion rally. So that will return false. Then he'll reset a trap, which should use up all of his action points. And then it should advance back to the priest turn. Let's see. And it reset the trap. And if we do this one more time, reset the other trap. And now when we do this, now he should attack. Yep. Okay. That works. I feel like I just need to change the order because I feel like I want to do the rally, a melee attack if he's within range, reset trap, and then move. So then I think that that's going to be the right order because then it deprioritizes the resetting the trap and does prioritize him hurting our guys. So come back to our decision engine. Let's put the reset trap logic right above move. There we go. So do the rally, melee attack, reset trap, move. So basically with the rally though, that means he's always going to be attacking with an extra die. So let's set his base at 3. So then he's not uber powerful. Okay, so let's go break this. Boom. Okay. And the problem we have now is like this one didn't reset. So if I come back here and I go to traps, this spike trap. So we got that one, that one, that one, that one reset. This one did not. So this player detector is still monitoring, even though like this one did trigger and the player monitoring should be off. Yep. So this one, why did this one not turn off? Either way, it'll allow us to keep testing. So let's just end the turn. He'll do a rally. He'll move up closer. End turn, rally, move closer. Okay. Then next time he'll reset the trap. Or no, next time he'll attack. And you should not reset the trap. So let's find out. Yep. Attack. Why is he attacking with 5 dice? But now, if I move these guys out of range, now he should reset the trap. Yep, and he reset the trap. Okay. So that logic works. I just need to figure out why our trap is sometimes not resetting. Because I feel like it's going through here. It's doing this. Await this, and then await this. And I feel like it's moving on. Do I need... Do I need an await there? Maybe that await is causing the problems. Let's see if we can figure this out here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's move up through here. So I wonder if it's... let's see. I think that may have been what the cause of that was. Yeah, I think that was the cause. I think that extra await was then causing some problems here. So, okay. So that should be that. Okay, so let's do one more thing. Let's do... Because I want to decrease the champion spawning here. Let's do... Oh, monster spawner. Let's set this back to our orcs. Okay, so we got regular level 1 orcs. Monster tier 2. Tier 2 is fine. Let's set this for tier 3. Quick load. Let's just do that. Pale champion here. Here we go. And then so if we do run this, we go to town. Let's go shopping. I don't think we're going to be tier 3 if we buy everything. Let's flail, orb, psi, berserker, bunch of amulets. Okay. Come back here. We're item level 222. Okay. So let's just do a real quick test. Amulet. Let's set that to an item level of 3 for right now, just for testing. So right now, if we come through, whoops, if I go back to shopping, we can buy all the extra things here. So we equip these weapons. Okay, we exit back out. We're still level 1. So we explore, we should get green guys. Yep, okay. That's fine. Let's get out of here. Now if we go shopping, let's buy some of the amulets. Where are the amulets? So they are 2, 3, 4. Okay. So right now our party level is 1. If we put on 1 amulet, no, we'll have to put on 2. Okay, so now we're party level 2. So now we should get the medium level orcs when we explore. There's the medium level orc. Medium level orcs. Okay, so let's go back to town. Now if we go back in here and we equip these last 2, that should give us... Oh, the priest is still not high enough. Why is the priest still not high enough? Oh, because his hammer is only a 2, isn't it? Blessed flail. Let's just double check this. Flail. Yeah, it's only level 2. Okay, so let's just put this to 3 for testing. Okay, and then we'll buy... Oops. We'll buy everybody's stuff. And then we'll equip everything. That should give us up to level 3. Yep. And now if we explore, now we should get the pale champions. Yep, there we go. Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so let's just set these back here. Let's put that back to a 2. Let's go back to the amulets. Those are level 2. Okay, so what we need to do is basically we need to get level 3's items in there. So we'll have to do that for next time. So let's see, what did we do today? We built the boss character. We do not have his logic yet, but when we get into a tile editor here, Right now we have the dungeon exit. We'll create something along those lines that's going to be a boss spawning tile, and then we can have him spawn in the middle and do his actions as need be. And then once the boss is defeated, we can set up a signal to then say, okay, now we have a random chance of finding the dungeon exit. But until the boss is defeated, then we won't get the dungeon exit. I think that seems fair. The point of the run is going to be to do that, and then we also need the boss to drop items, which I think is going to tie back into our progression stuff. How are we going to do it? Because right now, my idea is the party goes into the dungeon. You equip them before they run. I'm just going to minimize this. This is so bright and it makes my eyes look weird. They're going to go into the dungeon. They're going to go through their run, and they're going to put everything they find, all their gold, all the items, all that stuff is going to go into a bag of holding, for lack of a better term. And then if you make it out of the dungeon back to town, then that stuff gets dumped into your adventurer's hall, and you can spend the gold at the store. You can equip the items, stuff like that. But if the party wipes in the dungeon, that bag of holding's gone. You lost all the gold that you found. You lost all the items you found. You're back to level 1 players. All your stuff in town is safe. Any gold that's in town is safe. Any items that are sitting around the adventurer's hall are safe. So then that way you're not starting back at 0. It's not like everything's wiped. You still have slightly less powerful gear to throw back on your adventurers, and then you just got to grind out just a little bit more. So it's only a slight reset, but it's still a reset because you lost your primary guys. That's my idea, at least. So I still got to add in that bag so that when the boss is defeated, then we'll have that. So the other idea with the HUD is this is going to be like your bag of holding. This is going to show how much gold you found. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep the gold found up here or something like that. Or actually, what I'll do is probably move it down to this box, which I think we have hidden right now. Oh no, we just made it visible. Excuse me. That is bottom row. This one, this panel container. So what we'll probably do is we'll make that the bag of holding, and then in there it'll have gold found, and then it'll have a list of all the items that are found. So then when you go back to town, they all get dumped into your adventurer's hall. Again, this is coming back to I need to create a whole bunch of items for the characters to find and use. Oh, actually, 1 second. Let me see if I have something. There we go. How old is everybody? Because if you're like about my age, mid to late 40s, you remember back when you were playing video games, and this before, like, you had Game Facts, but Brady Games, these guides were what brought you through and helped you with everything. And this just has all the original vanilla World of Warcraft, all the items, all their stats and everything like that. So sorry, I just smacked my mic with the book, but levels, bindings, vendor purchase. This doesn't actually say what the stats were. I'm sure that it does somewhere in here, but it's got quest. It's got, oh, here we go. Thick armor, skill level, component. No, that's how you make things. Class abilities. I'm going to just have to start scrubbing through things like this. I've had this for, when did this come out? 2004. So I bought this just as World of Warcraft actually came out. So yeah, so 22 years I've had this. It was propping up my old computer, so the bottom vent was not stuck in the shag carpeting. So I'm gonna have to come up with a list. If you guys have any ideas, there is. Let's see. Google. There we go. I know Ken Evan has come up with some ideas, and there is definitely. Feel free to leave any comments or stuff like this. This is all I have right now. Is about 47-ish items that I want to get in here to try to get players to have more loot and stuff like that. So that's where I'm going with this. I definitely need to get this in. I may very well just build all this stuff because it's kind of boring to watch me build an item. I may build the stuff off stream. Anything that's going to require, like this is pretty easy. We already have all this logic built in. Anything that requires like new logic, like regen and stuff like that, I'll definitely be doing on stream. Anything that requires new code, but if it's just building, TRES, item files, um, again, we've already got this stuff. We already built that actually. That's why it's blue. But like this +2 defense dice per turn, we already have the logic for that. So anything we have the logic for, just build the item. But some of these are automatically disarm or trap. We haven't built the trap disarming yet or anything like that. So just some ideas. Eventually get everybody up to. Did I not make a priest level 5? I didn't make a priest level 5 item. Yeah, some of these, like, I like the idea. I think it's going to be a little bit harder to implement, like an extra AP that you can use for healing, things like that. But just got to come up with ideas, scour through guides, scour through everything I can find so I can create that stuff. But we'll get there eventually. So let's go back over here. Let's go to our, time tracker. Let's stop for today. So we've got the boss. We don't have the tiles for him triggered yet. I don't think. Let me go back Kanban here. So we're also at 77 hours. So we're a little bit behind where I wanted to end this milestone at 60. And right now it looks like we might end it at 80. So it'll be 20 hours per 20% behind schedule. And then I just have to add the save load. That's going to be pretty simple because there's not a whole lot we have to do. We have to save our characters. Each character has 6 equipment things, and that determines everything. So 4 characters, 6 items. That's it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Then we just have to save how much gold is in the Adventurer's Hall and what's the inventory of the Adventurer's Hall. We already have all that stuff. We just have to save it to a file. So that's going to be pretty easy to do. The only thing, again, my mind probably not going to do it, but it was that brain, like we said at the beginning, was that incremental idea of resetting like a prestige, starting over again, but still having some type of buff. I don't know what that could be, but that is an idea. But I want to figure out all these questions, get this all locked in, get another playtest out there. Hopefully next week. I think next week will be a good, let me just look at the date. Next week will be the 3rd and the 4th. So probably September 4th. I'll probably put it out on a Friday. And then I can collect all the feedback again from playtest 2. So next week, what we're going to work on, I'm not going to have a bonus stream. I've got a couple other things going on this week, so I can't. So next week, we'll work on getting the boss to actually mechanically show up properly. So he's going to be the 8th to 12th tile, and then after that, the exit tile. We will, this, I am going to just put this right here as a cross out for now. I'm going to wait for the next round of feedback. If nothing comes up with that, then I'm just going to not worry about it. They're going to wipe out. They're going to die. Off we go. I'm going to build an action disarm or trap. That's going to be fairly simple. Like I said, I just have to sort out the mechanics. Is it, 1 die for everybody else and 2 die for the rogue, or what do I want to do? I just have to logically get the mindset into, if there's a trap next to the character, then create a disarm trap button. So then you can hit the disarm trap button. There's a lot of quality of life stuff I'd like to do, but it's going to take a lot of time. I want to still hit that 100 at this point. It's going to be 120 hours. Maybe we can shave off some time down here in the end for all the ship prep and all that stuff, but we'll see. Um, then the escalation mechanic, I think I'm going to go with this, the push your luck. And then we just have to build out more monsters. We have to build up more items. And I think that is going to be it. We'll get that done next week. We'll build out more items, build out more monsters, get the boss mechanic working properly, and then just get that progression and the save load. Save load, I mean, that's going to take 3 seconds, so that shouldn't take too long. But we'll get that, and then we'll get a playtest shipped out next Friday, 9 September 4th. So we'll have that for playtest 2. We'll collect all the feedback. This time when I do that, I'm probably going to just do the same thing I did last time. I collect all the feedback here. I'm just going to create this list probably off stream, and then we'll just quickly go through the list on stream so we can work on it instead of having to go through each and every one of these feedbacks. I did that before because, again, I just wanted to show you the process that I go through and try to, conceptualize what needs to be done and what are my big sticking points. So like this has to be done. This, that will be done. This has to be done before the next playtest. We already did these other ones that had to be done. Anything here with more than 2 X's, we worked on. Some of these with one or less X's, yeah, they were just low hanging fruit. So that's where, I mean, this is a big one that we need to do, but I think we're at a pretty good point. So with that, I'll see everybody next Thursday at 10 a.m. That's September 3rd, 10 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. UTC time. We'll stream again. We'll get, like I said, we'll get all that stuff built out. And then look forward to playtest number 2. Give me 1 second. The other thing I do want people to be aware of is I'm shooting also for next week to have my Castlevania playtest 3. Is it 3 or is it 4? I think I'm calling it playtest 3 out as well next week. So I should hopefully have my 2 playtests ready to go. There's a couple things I need left to do in the Castlevania game, but I'm looking forward to getting that game done so I can focus more on this game and also getting this one in a step where I can then move on to my next game. I have a lot of ideas. Don't know where I'm going to go with it yet, but I want to make sure I finish everything first before I move on. So with that, I'm going to say have a good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are, and I will catch you all next week. Thanks for joining me.